So what are some like common misconceptions in your area? Like, when people call you, what are you having to explain or, uh, that you kind of like, oh no, that's not correct.
Yeah, surprisingly, a lot of people think that they have to pay out of pocket to get a personal injury lawyer. That's not the case. We work on contingency. So we have to explain to people that, I'm sure you see it in the billboards and on radio ads. If you don't get paid, we don't get paid. That's essentially contingency. So we explain to people that we work on contingency. Another big misconception is that we're expensive, right? They're like, oh, I don't want a lawyer because they're going to take up all the money from the settlement and then I end up with nothing, which is also not true. Statistically, when you're attorney repped for a personal injury claim, settlements tend to be at least 3 times higher than if you would have represented yourself. So what I tell people is you end up, saving money and making money by hiring a lawyer. Versus representing yourself, because at the end of the day, these insurance companies are for-profit entities that are going to find a way to minimize your settlement. They don't want to pay you, so they'll find a way not to.
So basically, you have clients that what if you have clients like, well, why do I need you? I can do this myself. You're just going to negotiate with the insurance company. Why do I need you?
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens often, right? They're like, I can handle this by myself, but then they don't realize that, they're injured and they don't really advocate for themselves sometimes. Not that they, don't want to. It's just that personal injury is very niche. What I explain to people is that your medical records, what you put in the medical records are your case, right? And you can try to close a claim out. Obviously, the insurance is going to try to close a case out as fast as possible. Yeah, they might have given you an offer, but that doesn't mean that's what your case is worth. So
Right.
explaining to clients, making sure that they receive the proper medical treatment that they need. I've had clients come in a year after an accident. They're like, I have this knee pain and it hasn't gone away. So, we send them through the proper channels to get treatment. And it turns out that they have like a meniscus tear or some kind of, a shoulder tear or some serious injury in their neck. And a lot of the times, they go so long without getting the proper treatment that they're out of luck, like the insurance company is going to say, okay, you've sat on this for a year. How do we know that that was a result of this accident?
Right.
In those cases, there's not really much we can do. So it's really imperative that people seek treatment. We like to brush things off and,
Mhm.
um, try to go on about our day, but a lot of the times we do ourselves a disservice by doing
Uh,
that.
and I had that where I referred someone and they refused to go for treatment. They're like, no, I'll be fine because they're a little bit old school and they're like, no, no, it doesn't hurt that bad. And the attorney kept telling them that, hey, if you're not feeling well, because they'd come in and ask them how are you doing, and you could see some of the things were not like
You're cutting off there.
some of the images were not coming out like they could tell from the images that something was. I know it's saying unstable, but I'll edit that part out, whatever pauses. So they're saying the MRIs are showing there's a deterioration, but the person just refused to get treatment, and they couldn't get much of a settlement because the insurance was like, well, no, you weren't really injured. You never complained. You never went for treatment. So I hear what you're saying. What's another common misconception? Like, in terms of like, I know you get this all the time. How long will it take for me to get my money?
Yeah, the two questions I'm almost always guaranteed is how long is this going to take and how much am I going to get?
Okay.
Those two questions. If I got $1 for every time I heard those two questions, I'd be able to go on a nice vacation or something. Um, but it really does kind of vary case by case, right? So as far as time, how long is my case going to take? It depends on how severe your injuries are and the insurance coverages that you have and that the person that hit you have, right? So state minimum requirements here in California are 15,000 per person, 30,000 per accident. Those we tend to get full value on those cases anywhere between 3 to 6 months, and we can close those out pretty quickly because there's not a lot of money to go after, and people are like 15,000, that's a lot. I'm like, not when you get treatment, the appropriate treatment that you need. So those cases tend to settle quickly. I mean, I have cases that go on a year or two because, the injuries are pretty substantial and there is a big pocket of money, a commercial case where a truck driver, totaled my client's car and this person needs surgery. So those obviously take a little longer. It could take anywhere from a year or more. but it really does vary on the facts. How injured are you and what kind of coverage you have? And what I like to tell people, another big misconception is they think that state minimum is enough to take care of them, and that's 100% not the case. People think, I'm a good driver, I'm not going to cause any accidents, and then they go ahead and get in an accident, and either it's their fault and they're out of luck, their car's totaled, they're injured, there's nothing they can do, or the person that hits them is driving without any insurance. 15% of drivers in California are driving with no insurance at any given time. So you get hit by one of those people and you have state liability only, you're out of luck. If you have a car payment, you're going to be stuck with those car payments. If you have any medical bills, you're going to be stuck with those medical bills. Because usually if a person's driving with no insurance, the likelihood of them having any assets that you could actually go after is slim to none.
Well, I know that I know I had a couple of people that were telling me, oh, my wife, she saved us a lot of money on insurance because she cut down our underinsured or uninsured. And I was trying to tell them, like, yeah, you want to keep those ones, that you don't want to be underinsured or the other party's underinsured. And they're like, no, we save a lot more money. I'm like, yeah, you're thinking short-sighted, because if you cut those claims, guess what, like you said, then you only have the minimum. And if the other party, God forbid, only has the minimum too, then that's the pot. There's not much you can do.
And that's something I tell people. It's like you can't control who hits you, but you can control how much coverage you have for yourself and for your family. It's like, yeah, there's times and places where you can, save money and create shortcuts, but insurance should never be one of those, especially for people like you and I, right? We're self-employed. If we get injured and we're out of work, things are going to get really bad really fast. So I always make sure to have really, really good uninsured motorist coverage, underinsured motorist coverage, just, so that we have that cushion in the event that we do get pretty, injured in an accident. I think your wife was actually there when she watched my presentation
Yeah.
for BNI, so I'm sure she learned a thing or two.
So the other thing that was interesting is, like, so people get nervous when you said you're going to go after their own insurance. They feel like that's going to, I won't be able to get insured anymore. My rates are going to go up. Is that true?
No, that's not true. So you're paying for that coverage already, right? As long as you are less than 50% at fault for a collision, 49 and under, your premium shouldn't go up, because you weren't primarily at fault for the collision. So that's the whole point of having uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. You want to be able to protect yourself and your family, if you get injured by someone who is uninsured or underinsured, right? And the insurance isn't going to penalize you for using a coverage that you're already paying for.
Okay.